Welcome to Fireside Giants. My name is Alex with my co-host Anthony Rivardo, who just returned from a serious case of Ebola. Just kidding, stomach virus or whatever he's had. He's been sick for a couple of days now, but the guy's pushing through. You know, he's a hero in this scenario. He's showing up and he's going to try to get through this podcast for you guys. But I'll try to do some of the heavy lifting. But he'll be here and pushing through his stomach virus and doing his thing. So excited for Anthony to rejoin us today, as always, a major part of this podcast. But guys, once at the fireside, always at the fireside. And this episode is brought to you by Manscaped. Hit that 20% off disc code and free shipping in our description below. On YouTube specifically, you can check it out there. Really helps us support the channel, really helps us bring in new talent to help us behind the scenes and really make this thing huge for you guys with elite level talent, as always. And today's topic, really interesting. DeVonta Smith is making some interesting comments post-draft. A lot of ones that I love to hear because basically he was like, I thought I was going to the Panthers. I thought I was going to the Giants. I did not see myself going to Philadelphia, which is why he really gave this face after. He was like, he's wearing that Eagles jersey. He's holding it up. Smirk. He did not look like he wanted to be in Philadelphia. He was going to Knicks games. He was enjoying the energy of the city, the buzz, the life. And not that Philadelphia doesn't have that, but it's not as great as New York City. We know this, my friends. Come on. So we're talking about DeVonta Smith. We're talking about how the Giants ended up being blessed by the Eagles and how they ended up walking away with even more value. But today, before we jump into things, Anthony, my friend, how you feeling?
I'm getting there, man. I'm hanging in there, doing better. It was a real rough week of events. I had that throat virus that caused me to miss one day on the pod. Came back from that with a lot of ibuprofen in me. Then I got a really bad stomach virus, threw up for 12 hours and lost 17 pounds. Honestly feel really weak and frail, but I love talking football, and I love talking Giants football for you, all of our great fans on Fireside Giants. So I'm back to do that today right here. And I like this topic. I really like this discussion because when this discussion really first started on Twitter, like last week, I tweeted to Alex, I said this was a blessing in disguise, in my opinion. Like the Giants were expected to take DeVonta Smith. That was the expectation at 11. And, it even got confirmed afterwards that was their plan, was to take DeVonta Smith at 11. Instead, they decided to trade back, and like I said, that was a blessing in disguise, in my opinion. The amount of value that the Giants extracted from that trade back that was phenomenal value, and it's really exciting. It has me really excited for the future of the Giants, not just the 2021 Giants, but 2022 and beyond. I think this was a really great move for the long term. So I'm really excited about it, and I'm excited to get into it and start discussing it.
Absolutely. So let me just break down to you what DeVonta Smith actually had to say. And it was quite interesting. He showed up and he appeared on Chris Long's Green Light podcast. And he pretty much said he anticipated being pursued by two teams, the Panthers and the Giants. And his quote exactly was, I thought Carolina was going to draft me. That's who I thought. I knew, of course, the Giants, but it was all about you have to get to 11. I knew if I was there at 11, I was for sure going to the Giants. So that pretty much confirms all of the rumors, all of the statements coming out that the Giants wanted DeVonta Smith. Everybody knows I wanted DeVonta Smith. I mean, I would have been totally fine with him. He's a really great talent, gold standard wide receiver, arguably the best receiver in college history. But I'll tell you what, the Giants walked away with even more value. They walked away with even more capital and playmaking talent because you're not only getting Kadarius Toney at 20, you're getting future draft capital. This is something that I want to keep reiterating because of how important it really is to come across the point that Dave Gettleman finally broke that streak of 8 consecutive drafts, not trading back once, not in the first round, not in the fourth round, not in the fifth round. He's never done it in any draft. This time he did it twice in one draft. He did it in the first round, moving from 11 to 20, and he did it in the second round, moving from 42 to 50. And both times he walked away with immense draft capital. He walked away with a first and fourth round pick for next year, a third round pick for next year, and he walked away with a fifth round pick this year, which he used to trade up in the third round to move up and get UCF corner Aaron Robinson. This is something that we haven't seen. We've been begging the Giants to add draft capital, and like I said in yesterday's video, they accidentally walked into a contingency plan for Daniel Jones. They really put themselves in a position where if DJ doesn't take that step forward, if he gets injured or something crazy happens, he doesn't really show us the production is there, he doesn't establish himself as a franchise quarterback, the Giants have the ammo, the draft capital to say, let's go get another guy. Let's bring in another guy to compete with him who can really push that needle towards the direction we needed to go. And I think that's where the Giants accidentally walked into. And DeVonta Smith saying this, is actually really interesting because I know the Giants wanted DeVonta Smith, and this basically the Bears called him up and said, here's what we have to offer. And Gettleman was like, well, damn, how do we pass on this type of offer? This is an incredible amount of draft capital. I don't even think they anticipated this happening, but they picked up the phone. That's something that Gettleman might not have done in the past, Anthony. So what do you think about this draft? What do you think about DeVonta Smith's comments? Do you think that maybe Gettleman was mad that he had to pass on him in the first place?
I'm sure the Giants were a little bit frustrated, of course, as we all were when it initially happened. I mean, you specifically, Alex, you were really pissed off when the Eagles jumped in front of us and made that pick. If you guys all tuned into the live stream on YouTube, Alex was just, really pissed. He was banging the table. He had his head
Interdivisional
down.
trades are against the law, okay? That's against the football, unwritten rule book. You don't
Yeah.
Eagles and Cowboys, Giants and Eagles, Giants and Cowboys, Washington and any of those. You don't do that crap. You just don't do it. So not only do the Eagles, go kind of crazy and lose that last game to add more draft capital, but they also pulled this stunt with Dallas. Jerry Jones makes me so mad. His bald head is so shiny, and he drafts from his $100 million yacht while I'm on my couch, and he wants to rub it in all our faces that he's rich from his oil money, and he has to screw us again. He's got to screw us again. And the Eagles happily do it again too. It's like we just keep getting the short end of the stick, but Joe Judge loves to be the underdog, and he's gonna raise above this. He's capable of making them pay for what they've done to us. So I'm hoping that the Giants find a way to make them pay, and they, this draft back, this trade back, the value they've accumulated ends up becoming so much more than what DeVonta Smith is going to offer the Eagles, and they don't even have a quarterback for the most part. Jalen Hurts, I have no faith in him, so continue on with what you're saying. Sorry, I went on a little tangent there.
Totally fine, but it definitely is kind of an unspoken rule. It's really rare to see teams trade within the division. And, that one was really interesting because it was two division rivals colluding against another division rival. It was really a collusion, and they were really teaming up just to stop us from getting the player that we wanted. And it was kind of like really, really sneaky, really, really kind of messed up. But it's a business, it's a tough business, and there are rivals for a reason, But one takeaway that I have from that, those two teams colluding against us, they got on the phone together and were like, hey, we can't let New York get DeVonta Smith. They already got Kenny Galladay. They've got Saquon Barkley. They already got Kyle Rudolph. They still have Evan Engram. They still have Sterling Shepard and Darius Slayton. We can't let them get DeVonta Smith. So they're afraid of us. They're afraid of this offense that the Giants are building around Daniel Jones. So they had to collude together and say, hey, let us take DeVonta Smith. We'll give you a third-round pick. You still get the guy you want, but let's just keep him off of the Giants. That was their whole plan. They just wanted to keep DeVonta Smith off the Giants, which is pretty crazy to think about, and kind of exciting to think about that the teams in the division are actually afraid of what the Giants are putting together. They're afraid of what the Giants are building, and I think that's really awesome, and I think they damn well should be, because the Giants had a phenomenal offseason, and I think they really capitalized this offseason with an exclamation point with this trade down. Okay, so the Eagles jumped in front of them, and they kind of screwed them up, and they took the guy that the Giants wanted. The Giants responded with, okay, we're just going to get something even better, which is why I call it a blessing in disguise. They get the call from the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears offer a future first-round pick. I mean, if you're moving down 9 spots and you're getting a future first-round pick, I don't care if you're getting the additional 4th and 5th on top of that. For the additional first-round pick, you're just doing it. I mean, that is phenomenal value, to move down 9 spots, and then you're at 20. It's not like you're at 28 or 30. You're at 20. That's still a really good pick. That's like, top 20 talent in the draft is what you're getting. Top 20 versus top 10. What's the huge drop off? It's not that significant. You're getting a top 20 player. Giants landed Kadarius Toney. You guys know how I feel about that. I love that pick. He's a phenomenal talent. He provided exactly what the Giants needed in terms of an after the catch guy. Giants ranked dead last in the league in yards after catch per reception. Kadarius Toney forced 35% of missed tackles last season. 35% of tacklers missed their tackles to Kadarius Toney. He's so electric. His change of direction. And his contact balance, all of that stuff. Plus, he's not even that little guy. Rondale Moore is that other gadget, speedy guy, right? But he's 5'7". Kadarius Toney is 5'11", and he's 190 pounds. Like, he's big. He's built like Odell Beckham Jr., and he moves kind of like Saquon Barkley in a smaller body. Like, the dude is electric, and he's got pretty good route running skills and really good hands, 3 drops on 150 targets. I really loved the pick of Kadarius Toney there. I thought he really filled a huge need for the Giants, and he was one of the best players on the board at the time. and I think that he fits in really well with what the Giants are trying to do. Plus, all the value that they extracted, that extra first round pick, that extra fourth or fifth round pick, I think that was just phenomenal, phenomenal value for the Giants. And I think it was a home run first round for them. Then, you get into round two as well, it was a home run. So, I mean, they really just crushed the draft. And like I said, it was a blessing in disguise. If they didn't have that unfortunate sequence of events happen by the colluding division rivals, we wouldn't have been able to extract all this value. And I'm really happy that we were able to get all that value out of that trade down.
Yeah, when's the last time we've seen this many analysts say that the Giants walked away with an absolute haul? It's been a very long time since everyone's kind of in consensus agreement that the Giants knocked this one out of the park. And it's thanks to modernized philosophy, picking up the phone, hearing what the Bears had to say. And I heard you say Chicago Pears before, and I kind of wish that was their name. Chicago Pears. What would their logo be? Just a pear?
Did I say that?
You're like Chicago Bears.
Oops. Well, I'm a little rusty.
The Ebola's hitting hard right now.
Yeah,
Bears
man.
to pears. Well, I'll tell you what. Analysts love the Giants selections. Me, love the Giants selections. Anthony loves the Giants selections. Kadarius Toney, something you left out. 35% missed tackle rate. We talked about this. Most linebackers at the NFL level have between a 5 to 10% missed tackle rate. Kadarius Toney makes 35% of tacklers miss on first impact. That is just absurd. You get the ball in the open field, the guy's an absolute stud. Daniel Jeremiah, he spoke, to the Giants podcast or whatnot, and he said, this guy, you just get him the ball in short, intermediate range, and he's going to help Daniel Jones. He's a security blanket there. Not only that, because he can catch the ball in those short, intermediate ranges. He's very good hands. Only 3 drops in 4 seasons when Evan Ingram has 25 in 4 years, something like that. Like, just ridiculous. The Giants alone had 29 drops last season, and that is unacceptable. You know what I mean? Like, when you're dropping the ball 29 times, that's like 2 drops per game. That's a lot of drops. You shouldn't be dropping the football at the professional level, especially, I guess when you're in man coverage most of the time, you should be able to get at least a little bit of separation. We saw way too many drops last year. I know Evan Ingram had 8 himself, I think. So just an absurd number. But now we have a little bit more weaponry to work with, a little bit more consistency too. Kenny Golladay, good hands. Kadarius Toney, good hands. Kyle Rudolph, great hands. Sterling Shepard, great hands. A lot of great hands now. We had some feet before, feet for hands last year with Evan. So, we're getting better. We're getting better in specific categories, but the draft capital, next year is going to be super valuable. I don't know if you guys have heard a name, Kayvon Thibodeau. Keep your eye on this guy from Oregon. He is the next big pass rusher. People are saying he's the next big Chase Young hype type of guy. And he's an outside linebacker in a 3-4 scheme. He fits our mold to perfection. If Daniel Jones pans out, and Chicago currently has the second hardest schedule in the league, second hardest schedule in the league. They don't even know who's going to be starting at quarterback week 1 yet. Could be Andy Dalton or Justin Fields. Either or I feel pretty comfortable with because their offensive line, they let Charles Leno go, their starting left tackle, to start Tevin Jenkins, their second rounder. Who really knows how it's going to be for them? They could end up having an absolutely abysmal season. And any injuries to that offensive or that offensive line, it's going to be tough for them to come back from. And they start off week 1, apparently I heard, against the Rams, which would, Matthew Stafford's there now. I think they can easily take down Chicago, at least outscore them. And when it comes to the Giants, they could walk away next year with a top 5 selection. And then you have, like I said, Kayvon Thibodeau. And then you have Azeez Ojulari. And you have Leonard Williams and Dexter Lawrence and this guy and that guy. You have one of the best defensive lines in the NFL if you have Kayvon Thibodeau, if he develops the way that people anticipate him developing. Azeez Ojulari and what we expect him to be. Well, we already know what Leonard Williams offers in Dexter Lawrence, and I think he's going to improve even more. Danny Shelton's on a 1-year deal. You still have Austin Johnson, some really quality players. The Giants really could end up with a stupid nice team next year, just plugging additional elite level talent, prospects rather, into a team that's already, set forth and put forth the talent to take a tremendous leap this year, with the improvements on offense, with the improvements on defense with Adoree Jackson and Aaron Robinson drafting him and Ellerson Smith, who had 14 sacks last season. These are some very, very talented players that will make impact day one. And Anthony, that's kind of the other part of this draft process that really just stands out to me. Aside from the capital that we gained in terms of, down the road, 2022 draft capital, they drafted players that are going to make an impact day one. Kadarius Toney is an immediate starter in the slot. Azeez Ojulari is an immediate starter outside linebacker. Aaron Robinson is immediately pressing Darnay Holmes for that nickel corner spot. Ellerson Smith is immediately putting pressure on the outside linebacker core because Lorenzo Carter and Ocean Eximitas missed the season last year. He's immediately in the mix as a rotational guy. Even Tay Gowan, he's in the mix as a special teams guy, and Gary Brightwell from Arizona, another pretty proficient special teams guy. All of these guys are going to make their impact in one way. Joe Judge loves to build out a strong foundation, a deep team with a lot of different options at various positions, and guys that can contribute on various different units. And Rodarius Williams told us best, right? He's going to be the one on the punt. Did I say Tay Gowan? I don't even know if I said that.
You did say Tay Gowan. I was going to correct you.
He's on my mind. He's on my mind. Rodarius Williams. Sorry. Rodarius Williams, our guy Rodarius, I don't know why Tay Gowan popped in my head. We interviewed him a couple months ago. Great guy as well. He's on Arizona now, so good luck to him. But Rodarius Williams is our guy now. He's on the Giants. And he's a guy who has great straightaway speed, very aggressive. I could see him being a punt gunner day one. But you know what? He even said to us, this New York Giants team could be special. He said verbatim, this New York Giants team, we could be something special. I think I could be a first-year champion. He even said if all sides of the ball are clicking on all cylinders, if the offense, defense, and special teams clicking on all cylinders, it's going to be very hard to beat them. And I think that offensive line is going to take a step forward, which I'll talk about in a couple minutes. But Anthony, what is your prediction? What are you looking forward to the most on this team? How do you see all of these players, these draft picks, really being instant impact day one, players, or do you rather see them kind of developmental?
It's rare to see an entire draft class be day one, impact players. We kind of saw that last year. It was surprising. We saw Carter Coughlin, Cam Brown have an impact, and those are late round guys. We saw Tay Crowder, final pick of the NFL draft, have a solid impact. We saw impact from pretty much every single player in that draft class. Other than, I think, one corner at the end. I'm forgetting his name. Chris Williamson, I believe, was cut before the season even started. But for the most part, there was like a 90% success rate in that draft class with impact players. And that's really rare and really impressive that the Giants were able to pull that off last year. Now, this year, I think, it's going to be different. I think that a lot of these guys will have an impact, but maybe not to the extent that the players did last year, right? I think day one, you're getting an impact out of Kadarius Toney. He's going to be a great return man, and he's going to be a really good gadget player off the bat with the potential and ability to develop into a much more talented player. And then round two, Azeez Ojulari. I think that instantly he's our best pass rusher on the roster if he puts it together. I think he's got so much burst and bend off the edge, and he does have a couple pretty good pass rush moves. So I like him a lot, and I think he absolutely will make a day one impact. Round three, you got Aaron Robinson. In terms of the Giants just trying to switch back into that press man defense, he has an impact because he allows them to do that. So he already has an impact before even playing it down for us, just because he allows us to move into that press man and feel more comfortable in that. So he will have an impact day one. And then you go into the later rounds where Darius, I do think he makes an impact on special teams. I think Ellerson Smith makes an impact on special teams. I believe he blocked 2 or 3 kicks in college. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he did block 2 or 3 kicks in college. So, I think you look at those later round guys and you view them as instant impact on special teams, not necessarily in their, normal positions, but on special teams, they'll make their impact and presence felt. But for the most part, they'll be developmental guys. But still, that's a lot of really good talent that the Giants got in this draft. Those first 3 rounds are bona fide day one starters. And then outside of that, you got very good developmental pieces and day one impact players on special teams. So, I'm really happy with what the Giants did from rounds 1 through 6 in this draft class. I think that they really knocked it out of the park. And then, of course, as we discussed earlier, that trade down and all the value that they extracted for next season. Alex just mentioned Kayvon Thibodeau out of Oregon. There's another guy, I'm drawing a blank on his name. He played for Oklahoma. He's another really good pass rusher that's coming out next year. I think he's going to be a senior for Oklahoma this year, but people are really high on him as well. If you think of his name, Alex, or you want to search it up, you can, because he's someone that people are really into. And then, of course, I know Alex just recently talked about this. And then this is another talking point that we've discussed a few times on this podcast, but with that first round pick next year gives the Giants a lot of flexibility and insurance at the quarterback position. I'm a big fan of Spencer Howell out of UNC. If he comes out next year, has a really good season, he could be the top quarterback in this year's draft. And if the Giants need to make that move to go get a quarterback, now they have 2 first-round picks. They have more flexibility and an extra third-round pick. They have a lot of flexibility and a lot of possible ways to go move up and get their quarterback. But I think that's going to be interesting. Ultimately, it's going to depend on how Daniel Jones plays this year. You guys know I'm a full believer in Daniel Jones. I think he's going to have his breakout year, but that's just why that first-round pick gives us so much insurance and flexibility. Insurance if Daniel Jones doesn't have that breakout year. Flexibility if he does have that breakout year. We can go get him more pieces to build this team around him. And I think that's really exciting. And I think that's where you say that the Giants really set themselves up very well for the future.
Is it Drake Jackson out of USC? I don't know if there's another Oklahoma
No,
guy.
I'm going to go ahead and search it. I'm going to go find it, but, you can do your rebuttal, and then I'm going to go find who this Oklahoma guy is.
Well, look, there's a couple of different things I want to talk about. First thing, Sterling Shepard just changed his number to number 3. Back to his roots at Oklahoma. I like that. People that have his jersey might not like that. I don't have his jersey. But number 3 is a pretty badass number. I think that maybe a fresh start, the injuries, the concussions kind of derailed him a little bit at times. But I do like that change for him. He looks pretty sleek. I saw an edit today that was pretty badass. And another thing, a UDFA that kind of caught my attention, Brett Hedgie. This guy out of Florida, kind of underrated prospect here. He was undrafted free agent, but he could be like a Nick Gates-esque steal. He was number 6 rated center in the country out of high school. He was an Under Armour All-American, played left guard, right guard, and center in college. He has solid size and strength. He had injuries really that derailed his college career. And one that he had in high school as a senior, he played through it, but at the college level, it just didn't really sit correctly. So I think the injuries really took a shot on him. But I think Brett Hedgie, interesting player there. We'll keep an eye on him. A UDFA who could develop. We'll keep an eye on him during camp specifically. And camp's coming up really soon for these rookies. Really soon. Things are starting to move along, guys. Things are churning. I'm pretty excited about this upcoming season. I know you guys are. But, before we close out this video, Anthony, who do you want the Giants to play week 1?
Oh, all right. Yeah, I'll get into that. But first, I want to say I found the Oklahoma edge rusher. His name is Nick Benito. This is from PFF.
Italian?
Might be the most... No, I don't think so. But he might be the most underrated player in all of college football, PFF says. He led all college football edge defenders with a 93.6 pass rush grade last season, a 28% pass rush win rate, and pressure rate generated 25.7% in 2020. So that's really, really impressive stats there. His lowest win rate in a single game was only 17.6%, which is a really high win rate. So he really dominated everyone he faced in 2020, and he looks to be like that next upcoming big-time pass rusher. Actually, on PFF's board, their early 2022 rankings, they have him as a number 1 edge, and they have Kayvon Thibodeau as number 2. So keep an eye out on both of those guys, see how they perform in 2021. And those, I think, are your early top targets for the Giants draft in 2022. Them and maybe an offensive tackle. I think that's where ultimately things lead them. But yeah, who do I want to play in week 1? I've been on Twitter a little bit while I'm dying in my bed, and I've seen a lot of people discussing this because, we're getting the schedule released tomorrow, which I'm sure we're going to discuss when it releases. I think, a lot of people want to see us play Philly. I think that's really intriguing. That'd be fun. I think there's 2 arguments to make. You're either saying you want to see Philly because you want to see some sort of revenge, which is what I saw someone say on Twitter, and I said I don't really think that makes sense. I think we just want to see really talented football teams and good rivalry, like an intense game, and I think that is the most intense game you're going to get is Giants versus Eagles. It usually is the most intense game that you get, so it's either Giants-Eagles, Giants-Cowboys. I want to see something intense off the start. I know a lot of people don't want to see the Giants play the Cowboys again. I love the yearly Cowboy Week 1 tradition. I actually do really enjoy it. I don't get sick of it because it's always a good and intense game, and that's what I want to see to start the season off. I just want to see really good, intense football because there's that big drought of no football, and so I'm just waiting to see something really, really good to start the season off. Of course, if the Giants lose, never good, never happy with that, but I want to see a really good game, and I think, a division rival in week 1 is usually what I'm looking to see, whether it's Philadelphia, Washington, or Dallas. Those games are just always heightened. It's a divisional game. They're always more intense. They're more exciting just because you're playing a rival, and you get to put all your hatred into this game against that other team. I think that's always exciting, so I want to face one of those other teams. If it ends up being a team outside of the division, I think Carolina is an interesting name to look at. They're pretty exciting. I'd like to see Darnold. I think that's in New York too, or in New Jersey, so I think that could be pretty exciting. Have Darnold come back to MetLife. I think that would be an interesting one. But yeah, I'm really targeting those divisional games, and then of course any of the games in Florida. We have 2 games in Florida. We play Miami and we play Tampa Bay. Either one of those I'm happy with, and I'll be there for that game regardless. So that would be cool if I could be at the week 1 kickoff. So, that's another thing that I personally am just looking forward to. If that's the week 1 game and I can be there for kickoff, if they're playing the Bucs in week 1, I mean, that would be pretty exciting. I don't think that's the case because Bucs are probably on the Thursday night against whoever they played in the championship game, probably against Green Bay or something. But, there's a lot of different options here, but number one for me is I want to see a division rivalry game because those are just the most intense and most fun for me.
Yeah, you sounded like you had a little bit of hatred in your voice. You have to bring that hatred to your division rivals, right?
Listen, man, there's nothing that I hate more in this planet, in this lifetime, than the Philadelphia Eagles and their fans specifically. I hate Philly. I hate its fans. So, yeah, the hatred really comes out when we play Philadelphia. And, it's funny because my hatred for Dallas isn't even that strong. It's just really strong for Philadelphia. I don't know why. And it's growing for Washington as well because that fan base just, Daniel Jones literally owns them, but they still talk a ton of smack about Daniel Jones, and they don't even have a quarterback in place for their future. So they're just a bunch of babbling idiots. And I just hate those teams a lot right now. And Philadelphia I'll always hate more than anything on this world. So, I would love to play them in week 1 and hopefully smack the living crap out of them and, really break their teeth in on week 1, hopefully on prime time. That would be really exciting.
Yeah, Eli couldn't even bring his family there towards the end of his career. They would just like curse out his wife and kids.
They throw batteries at people. They throw full beer cans at people. Like, they're just gross over there. You got little children flipping off Eli as he walks out of the tunnel. Like, it's Philly, man. It's just gross environment for those fans. They're just gross. They're evil. I'll never forget when they
evil
unfortunately won that Super Bowl and you had that video of that one Eagles fan getting on the floor and eating horse poop in the middle of the streets during those riots that they decided to throw when the
they had to grease the lampposts so people wouldn't climb them.
Yeah,
that's not my like when you're excited is your first intuition like I'm gonna go climb that lamppost.
Well, they like to riot. They like to tear the city apart because why? I don't know. Because they're classless. They're classless people rooting for the Philadelphia Eagles. That's how I see it. I like the Giants parade. It was real nice, organized. Just go down Manhattan, whatever. That's cool. Not tearing an entire historic city apart because your football team won a championship. That was disgusting. And I've always hated Philadelphia and their fans, and I always will. And it's probably just going to grow stronger and stronger as the years go by.
Well, luckily, they don't have a quarterback right now. They're still stuck with Carson Wentz's contract a little bit. So they're kind of strapped right now. And they make fun of Daniel Jones' fumble sometimes. They don't realize that Jalen Hurts fumbled 9 times in 4 starts last year. So they probably try to erase that from their memory. And then, of course, you have Washington, who has great defense. Another quarterback who every year gets benched. I think Ryan Fitzpatrick gets benched at least twice every season for whatever reason, throwing interceptions, getting hit in the head too hard. He runs full speed into 200-pound linebackers. Don't really know what he's doing with that one. But, this is a guy who is a journeyman. He's an NFL journeyman, and now he's their starting quarterback. So unless they feel they can go out and get Aaron Rodgers or something, Washington's putting themselves in a pretty tough situation. But I hope the Giants play a division rival in week 1 because I, the same as you, want to see them kick some freaking ass. I want to see them trample and destroy that first team and set the tone for the rest of the year. Last year, we got completely rocked by Pittsburgh, and I just don't want to see that again. I want to see strong football, clicking on all cylinders, just disciplined football, and that's kind of what I'm looking forward to for week 1. And maybe we'll live stream tomorrow at 8 o'clock. I think it drops. Maybe we'll do like a live stream reaction to it if you're around. Maybe we'll talk about that. But guys, thank you so much for tuning into Fireside Giants. Once you're at the fireside, always at the fireside, my friends. Brought to you by Manscaped, as always. And hope you guys have an awesome week. I know it's Tuesday, heading on Wednesday. The week's slowly crawling by. Anthony's had a stomach ache. He's had a throat. He's had Ebola in the past 3 days, so you never know how much could happen in just a few hours even. So hope everyone's doing well, staying healthy. Make sure to subscribe below.
Stay safe and stay healthy. That's number one thing that I have to say.
Yeah, stay safe, stay healthy. Make sure to subscribe below and like. Make sure to smash that like button for us, please. Make sure that video does exceptionally well. Really helps us out, as always, my friends. And make sure to turn on the notifications, of course, for Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. And we'll catch you guys on the next video.